Should we sit next to you?
We can sit there.
If you could please take your seats.
Lee and Michelle.
You're more than welcome to sit towards the front as well. And we're going to start the program in just 1 minute.
There's some cheesecake for you. Make sure come find her.
You see it as a treat,
Where's your cheesecake?
I'll let them.
Everything's fine.
Alright. Yeah, okay.
Feel free to grab a nibble before you sit. It makes everything so much better. I love this. I love seeing all these amazing faces in person. This is incredible. I get to be the person to welcome everyone to the 102nd annual meeting of the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland. I'm Lauren Goldstein, chair of the board of the Jewish Federation. And it goes without saying, I am thrilled to be here in person with so many of you tonight. This is incredible. And I'm so honored that not only do we have this amazing participation in the room, but we have some gaggle of amazing community members on Zoom as well. So thank you all so much for joining. I think that's kind of the best of both worlds, right? We are technically having a hybrid meeting here tonight. We've got our online component and our in-person. So thank you so much. Before we get into our program, I'd love to take a moment to welcome 3 incredible groups of people. And first, I'm going to ask you to stand up. I'd love to say thank you to our Federation professional team, Mark and your team. Please stand up. I just want to say thank you. The second group I want to formally acknowledge is the board of the Jewish Federation. For those that are here, please stand. Our first in-person board meeting about a week and a half ago, the first one we've had in over 2.5 years, which is mind-blowing. Some of the people I've never met before in person. And the last, and no need to stand unless you want to stretch your legs, is just our community. Everybody else is on the phone. Thank you. All right, so let us begin the annual meeting with an invitation from our community chaplain, Rabbi Mary Cohen.
Thank you, Lauren. So a little strange here, 3 dimensions. Is this okay? All right, feels good. Feels a little strange. Feels a little strange. It's hard to articulate that we made it through another year. Okay, another year of COVID. I guess this is part 2. And I have just felt such a range of emotions, many conflicting simultaneous emotions. I mean, there's been anger, sadness, helplessness, hopelessness, compassion fatigue, regret. But there's also been relief, joy, hope, love, reassurance. Unfortunately, these last few weeks, I feel like I've been kind of going a little bit into it, like a downward spiral. And I haven't been able to find the word that can articulate the feeling. It's complicated, it's nuanced. Now, when I was doing my year-long chaplain's residency in the Chicago suburbs, when we were struggling to find the emotion, our supervisor would send us to the feeling wheel. The feeling wheel. And we'd have to stand in front of this wheel until we found the emotions that we were trying to express. So I went back to the wheel. but I still couldn't find what I was feeling. So I didn't really know what to do. But thank goodness I found an article by Dahlia Lithwick on slate.com. She found the word that perfectly describes what I have been feeling and that what I would argue many of us have been feeling. Now, is this word in English? No. German? French? Russian? No. Yiddish. Myra, you're absolutely correct. Arguably the world's most expressive language, Yiddish. The word is Zebrochnikit. Zebrochnikit. Rough translation, broken but blessed. Broken but blessed. We feel this when we make it to another day, but at the exact same time saying everything is not all right. As we feel brokenheartedness, we carry our shattered experiences and our emotions with us. It's kind of like when we were traveling from Egypt to the Promised Land, and we carried with us not only the full tablets that Moses received at Sinai, we also carried with us the broken tablets that he smashed in frustration. Now, as we carry our shattered pieces with us, we earn within this Zebrochnikit a sense of wisdom. We exist in a state of not needing a quick fix, but in needing to be honored. And as we're honored, we take up the process of healing. Lithwick ended her words by quoting the autobiography of Howard Zinn. "You can't be neutral on a moving train." Of note, he was a World War II Air Force bombardier. He wrote, "To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places where we have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act. The future is a succession of presents, being present. And we should live now as we think other human beings should live, in defiance of all of the bad that is around us. And that is a marvelous victory. This past year, in too many of our presents, we felt Zebrochnikit. But despite the pain, the tragedy, the fear, the brokenness, we have recovered. We healed. We helped one another. We shared compassion and strength and love. Through these presents, we have obtained the wisdom that we are still allowed to hope, that it is our obligation to hope. In the coming months, we may continue to feel Zebrochnikit, but let's embrace that emotion and realize that it is the key to navigating these challenging times, to make our community even stronger, more vibrant, more interconnected, and more interdependent. Can you hear us song? So may this be. Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. In all of our board meetings, I had the honor or perhaps challenge of following the rabbi as he would do his Devar Torah. And he was always so beautifully spoken, and then I had to follow with usually a pretty straightforward board agenda. So hopefully I can insert some of your wisdom into what we're going to talk about tonight, because I do think that the themes very much overlap. When I think about the last time that I got to be in person in front of this group, it was 3 years ago in the June of 2019. And I had the honor of becoming your board chair. taking the driver's seat from Ed Tonkin, no pun intended. And yes, Evan, my son who's here, I can also tell you that the #1 song that week was Old Town Country Road by Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus. Anyway, what an honor it's been to serve our community in this role for the last 3 years. Thank you all so much. At the time, 3 years ago, Ed, Mark, and I had just come off a several-month listening tour with all of our community leaders, including agency leadership, rabbis, lay leaders. And the purpose of this community listening tour was just to really understand what was needed. What role could the Federation serve in the Portland Jewish community? And the one takeaway, and Mark, I'm sure you remember these conversations, was we love when Federation steps up as a community convener. And not only do we love when we step up as a community convener, but we had already started to proven that we knew how to do that. Again, if you think back to 3 years ago, one of the proof points is that we had just hired Gene Moss. And he was our first director of community security. And it was an example of our Jewish Federation at its highest best. It's, the highest best, as I love to define it, it's that intersection of the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that you have skill at, and the thing that can give the biggest impact to the organization or the community you serve. So that example of hiring Gene Moss as our community security director was the example of the Jewish Federation at its highest best. It's where the magic happens. Little did we all know 3 years ago how important it would be for the Jewish Federation to have practice at this highest best, this being a convener and connector. Let's be honest, in June of 2019, there was a lot of surprises that we were waiting to find out about. But fortunately, we had built a really strong muscle. One that served us incredibly well when we needed to spearhead a community-wide collaboration effort to address the significant hardships related to a global pandemic, fires that were raging across Oregon, and a lot of other issues that we dealt with pretty shortly after this annual meeting 3 years ago. So tonight, I have the honor to share some of our highest best moments of just this past year and the impact we have delivered to our community and overseas as a result. So I'm gonna list just 5. I think there's more like 500, but I'm gonna start with just 5. On February 24th, the Jewish Federation launched a campaign to support the humanitarian needs of Ukraine, from food and medical supplies to transportation, to take displaced people to safe and or temporary housing. The impact of this Jewish Federation and this community here today was that we came together to raise over $400,000. Just gonna let that marinate for a minute. I said this before, I may say it about 8 more times in this few moments, but when we come together as a community, great things really happen. Earlier this year, the Jewish Federation Board, along with many community members and spearheaded by Mark and his team, committed to a 3-year investment in the Eastside Jewish Commons, creating a place for our community to convene on the east side of the river. Yeah, clap it out. Again, the impact there is helping to create spaces for our community to convene and thrive. One of the third examples I want to share is when we appointed Jessica Anderson as our new Community Director of Security. Is Jessica here? I don't know if I saw her name. It's actually a joint effort with Oregon Jewish Community Foundation, multiple synagogues, and multiple Jewish organizations. And as we all know, not only has Jessica and before her Gene made a tremendous impact on our community, but we continue to work hard to keep our community safe. So thank you so much for being here, Jessica. And thank you to all. Our fourth example is our Women's Giving Circle, who raised over $26,000 in grants and allocated that towards 9 different women-centric organizations. The impact of those gifts is connecting women philanthropists who who are making an incredible difference with grants that focus on women and girls, justice, and Jewish continuity. And one of the last items that I'll note tonight is something that's just about to happen. And that's the launch of our 2022 Jewish Community Study. For so long as a Jewish community, we go on a listening tour, we talk to agency leadership, we talk to rabbis, and we want to hear what are those things that are going to move our community forward, what should we be focusing on? But if you take that one click deeper, what does the community think we should be focusing on? So the launch of this community study, and a survey will be kicked off in October. I think, Mark, you're going to talk a little bit more about it. Will allow us to do this listening tour at scale. It's going to give us the data that we need to make smart decisions and smart investments to invest in a community that will be thriving for years and years to come. So together, we've had an incredibly successful year. The 5 major impacts shared with you are just the highlights. Together, we have raised over $4.2 million. And in our last board meeting, we approved how these dollars would get spent, which is really part of the joy of being part of the Jewish Federation Board. We listened to the recommendations of our allocations committee, of our overseas special projects committee, and are very excited to be donating those funds and putting them to work in our community and overseas. And these dollars will continue to drive impact in our community, not just in the near future, but for years ahead. So I've always said, when we come together as a community, great things happen. Okay, I'm just going to switch gears for a moment. This is kind of the stuff that I'm personally really excited about. As I wrap up my 3-year tenure as the Jewish Federation Board Chair, I'm very nostalgic. And several people asked me tonight, so are you excited to pass the buck to Mindy and let her do her wonder? And I guess my answer is twofold. Yes, I am, because you're amazing, and I'm excited to see all the great work you do. Mindy Zeitzer will be stepping in as our board chair for the next 2 years. We'll hear from her later tonight, but you'll find that the best is yet to come with her. She's been our campaign chair in the past. She's been our allocations chair this last year. And as incoming board chair, I cannot be more excited for you. But as excited as I am to hand it over to Mindy, I have to say this has been an incredible 3 years. I've loved every minute. I wish I didn't have to pass it over, but I am happily excited to do that. But Mark, I wanted to say a special thanks to you. You have been an exceptional partner, mentor, friend, and I have learned so much about philanthropy, about just being a good human, about being a mensch, and just doing what's right for the community. You are really remarkable and one of a kind. So thank you for this opportunity. Serving in this role and serving this community has really been a pleasure. And I will go out with my final words one more time, that when we come together as a community, great things happen. Thank you so much. Jeff, I believe, to share with us the report of the nominations committee. Thank you.
I'm Jack Bernbach, and I was honored to be nominating committee chair this year. I had the opportunity to work with just an excellent committee. The nominating committee included Karen Berman, Doug Blauer, Kathy Davis Weiner, Simon Gottheiner, Bonnie Malka, and Ben Glasser. Let me first thank the 4 board members, including myself, who will be rotating off the board this year. Those 4 are Ed Tonkin, Ted Nelson, Karen Blauer, and myself. I think I speak for all of us when I say that it's been a joy and a pleasure. And following this meeting, we have gifts for all of you. The nominating committee is recommending the three following people to join the Federation Board. Craig Byrne, a local attorney who has been very active in Israel and advocacy efforts. Christine Moore, a pediatric oncologist who is currently part of the Webster Heritage Program. And Jeffrey Weiss, a local real estate professional who is the go-to expert on construction and building repair issues for Jewish organizations. And I ask for a motion to approve these individuals to serve on the Jewish Federation Portland's board. Okay, thank you. And a second? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good. Everyone, welcome to the board.
Hello, my name is Eliana Temkin, and I am the chair of the Broadway Committee for Selection of our Jewish Professional Award. And with my vice chair, Jody Reed, we're going to be telling you today about who we received the award this year. But first, I just want to say a few words. The Laurie Broadway Outstanding Jewish Professional Award is now in its 8th year of recognizing a Jewish professional leader in our midst. Laurie is in the audience here, so thank you. Who demonstrates outstanding professional work and commitment to the field of Jewish professional leadership. This professional supports the vibrancy of our community, understands the issues facing our community, approaches their work in a creative way, and is a team player. And the recipient receives an $1,800 stipend towards professional development of their choosing. This year we had 7 strong nominations, a testimony really to our community's cadre of dedicated professionals and their passion. Excuse me. I want to acknowledge first and foremost our thoughtful and diverse committee. Karen Glauer, Ben Charlton, Linda Cohen, Jody Freed, Sarah Howard, Sonia Marie Lycum, Mark Meyer, Rachel Nelson, and Jerry Savis. The committee was truly in awe of each nominee for their inspired and thoughtful contributions to our community. While we are fortunate to have so many qualified professionals who deserve recognition, we can only honor one. It's always a difficult process. And this year, the 2022 recipient of the Laurie Broadway Professional Leadership Award is Missy Fry. I want to say a few words about Missy. Missy is a behavioral health social worker for Jewish Family and Child Service. She has received her bachelor's and master's degree in social work at Portland State University, along with a graduate certificate in gerontology. Missy is a certified advanced grief counseling specialist, and she's been with JFNCS for 11 years. Providers and a clinical case manager at Rose Center Manor, and most recently a behavioral health social worker. So Missy is described by her colleagues as unassuming, well-honed expertise, leaving space for colleagues to respond before she offers her insights. She does this with a ready smile, a quick wit. She is professional, empathetic in the extreme, and she approaches therapy compassionately and specifically to the presenting concerns of each person. So it is very important right now. Missy is seen as a true professional committed to mental health, the mental health well-being of those around her, always seeking to ensure that people are heard. She has taught those around her to listen with care and concern. At a time when attending to mental health has taken the spotlight and become a community priority, Missy is the model clinician we need supporting individuals and groups. So congratulations.
huge honor for me to have won this award, especially considering those who won before me. I'm excited to utilize this grant award in a way that will reinvest and give back to this community that's given me so much. Your generosity will enable me to enhance my leadership skills around community organizing and program development that benefit older adults and people with disabilities, while also empowering Jewish professionals new to this field through clinical supervision and mentorship. My mother was Jewish and instilled in me the importance of generosity and compassion toward others. She died when I was very young, so it's been incredibly meaningful for me to reconnect to this side of myself and to her through this work. I started my work in the Jewish community nearly a dozen years ago, and I started as a bachelor's level social work intern. Doing this important work has been a lifelong dream for me, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the opportunities, challenges, and experiences that I've gained over the years. You've helped me to realize potential that I didn't know I had. Thank you so much.
Afternoon. I'm Rich Meyer, and it's my honor to chair the Sussman Scholarship Committee. You may not know, but since 1983, the Lillian and Gilbert Sussman Scholarship has made more than 100 awards to local Jewish students to help offset the cost of college. I'm fortunate I knew Lillian and Gilbert, whose daughter you may know is Lois Schenker, and our families were close friends. Each year we would have Passover Seder with the Schenkers and the Sussmans, and I remember Mr. Sussman at the Seder, at the Afikomen time, he would give out a small handful of coins to each of us, and I never found an Afikomen, but I could still get the coins. And the extra quarters would make a difference to me as a kid who wanted baseball cards and bubble gum. And for 39 years now, the Sussman Fund and the Sussman family's generosity has made a difference to the lives of so many young Jewish leaders in our community as they set out on their college journeys. So I'm honored and thrilled to announce the recipients of this year's Lillian and Gilbert Sussman Scholarship Award, both of whom will receive $1,800 toward their college expenses. So is my name? Okay, I can come on up. Ike Selinsky just graduated from Lincoln High School and will be attending the University of Ike will be majoring in biomedical engineering. They've been a member of Temple Beth Israel, the Portland area Reformed Temple Youth. You may know it as a party. Ike has been a counselor at B'nai B'rith Day Camp and participated in the Takei Beth Israel's youth trip to Washington, D.C., where they lobbied members of Congress about climate change. They're excited to engage with their new Jewish community in Michigan, and they hope to take an active role in the university's Jewish community and to continue volunteering for Jewish organizations and to work for a better world through a Jewish lens. Welcome, Ike. You don't have to speak today. And our other recipient this year is Maya Greenfield. Maya graduated this month from Lake Ridge High School, where she was a leader in the Jewish Student Union for the past 3 years. Maya also served on the leadership committee of the Oregon Jewish Community Youth Foundation. She's also involved in Key Club, French National Honor Society, the National Honor Society. And in her free time, she loves to play soccer and bake. I like bakers. She has her own business called Maya's Mozzarella. And actually, I met with Maya's mom when she was first getting that business off the ground and wanted to know how to distribute it. She's really grown that business quite much, and paid money this year. The proceeds from the business went to help people in Ukraine. Maya is volunteered at the local hospital, and she will attend Concert College this fall. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mark Blattner. I'm the president and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Portland. And as has been said, it's nice to see so many people in person, and we're also grateful for all the people who are at home on Zoom watching this tonight. Tonight, we want to celebrate our community and also celebrate leaders in our community. First, I want to congratulate you, Missy, on the Lori Rogo Award. And Lori, it's so beautiful to have you here as well. But Missy, Mazel Tov, very well deserved, and thank you for your work at JFCS on a daily basis. I also want to congratulate Ike and Maya on the Sessman Award, and we wish you all the great success in your university studies. Thank you to Ed, Jack, Ted, and Karen. Your service on the board is most appreciated. And as was mentioned, we do have parting gifts for you, so don't leave until I give you your gift. And I want to say welcome to Craig and Jeffrey and Christy, who are new board members joining with us. So Lauren did a great job explaining 5 different things that have been going on in the Jewish community, and I want to share a few more with you tonight. 5 years ago, I stood at this annual meeting and announced the centennial trip to Israel and said, we're going to take 500 people to Israel for the Federation Centennial in March of 2020. Some laughed at the idea. I thought getting 200 would have been pretty incredible, especially since the largest trip previously had been 85 people. But under the leadership of Priscilla and Tony Costner, Kathy Davis Weiner and Michael Weiner, and our Federation team, we had 400 people registered and ready to go until this thing called COVID shut it all down. But tonight I'm excited to announce that we have rescheduled the trip for March of 2023. It'll be March 20th through the 28th. Many of the original participants have already re-registered, and we have 80 spaces still available. On Wednesday of this week, an email will go out to the community announcing these new dates. And if you're interested, sign up fast because we expect these spaces to go quickly. We will continue to subsidize the trip, where adults will pay $3,600 and children will be $2,500. When I can tell you that the actual price of the trip is about $4,800 per person. So make sure you make time, register. It'll be a trip of a lifetime for you and your family. Secondly, I, along with 19 others, have just completed the first year of the Wexner Heritage Program. It's the preeminent leadership development program in the Jewish world. The program started last fall and brings together an incredible array of talented young community leaders, some of whom are in this room tonight. Next month, we will leave together as a group and travel to Israel, followed by the second year of the program. From my vantage point, I have huge expectations for these participants, as they will be the long-standing leaders for our synagogues and Jewish organizations for decades to come. Something I want to touch on is something we call United in Spirit. It is a group of faith-based leaders from across our community who are dedicating their energies to the houseless situation in Portland. They've met multiple times with city, county, and state leaders, proposing ideas and serving as a sounding board for these folks. Sadly, we all know the problem persists, but we continue to have our voices heard. In addition, 2 months ago, 42 local community members from the Black and Jewish communities here in Portland traveled to Georgia and Alabama on a civil rights mission. It was an opportunity to learn more about the history of the movement and to basically be where it all took place. Although I was not on the trip, my wife was. Every person I heard from shared how meaningful and challenging the experience was. Our Jewish Community Relations Council does an outstanding job and doesn't get enough credit in our community. And we're grateful to the leadership of Michelle Bombin-Mitch, who's listening at home. I also want to give a shout out to my colleagues, Bob Warrenstein and Rachel Nelson, for their work and commitment to this effort. Lauren shared the success of our annual campaign. I cannot express how grateful I am to the work of Chet Nelson, our campaign co-chair, along with Jess Gilbert, and of course my colleague Wendy Kahn, who really drove each and every day we were doing. The old saying goes, the annual campaign is simply one Jew asking another Jew to help a third Jew. Our campaign would not have its successes without our outstanding cadre of campaign volunteers who actually were those askers, who set the example and made that $4.2 million happen. We continue to grow the campaign, and this year we saw a 5% increase in our undesignated annual campaign. Thank you to those who donated. Thank you to those who took time to come to our fundraising activities. Nothing is possible without your support and your generosity, and we do not take it for granted. Obviously, when you have a successful campaign, it means more money can flow to the community. Special thank you to our allocations committee under the leadership of Mindy Zeitzer and Caron Blau-Rothstein, and our overseas special projects committee chaired by Yafit Heyman in partnership with Bob. These committees worked for months evaluating organizations and making very difficult decisions on finite dollars. We're excited that we were able to provide an increase to both local and overseas needs. We increased it by 5%. And despite increased dollars, not every organization will receive increased funding. Priorities were set and full details of the allocations will be publicized by the end of the week, following our meetings with each of the recipient organizations. But our allocations tell a very important story as we emerge from the pandemic. We're also proud that at the same time, by allocating more money locally and globally, we also included several new initiatives. One of those you may have read last week, 300 Ethiopians made Aliyah to Israel. Part of that was funded by our work at the Jewish Federation. In addition, we have set aside funding for the follow-up initiatives to what I believe is the most important thing the Jewish Federation will do since I came here 12 years ago. As Lauren mentioned, in mid-October, the Jewish Federation is sponsoring the most comprehensive, scientific, demographic study of our Jewish community in its history. We are partnering with the Cohen Center at Brandeis University. They have done 30 community studies over the past 10 years, including Seattle, Denver, San Francisco, and they're concluding their project in Los Angeles. They understand West Coast Jewry. The survey will begin in mid-October, and we should have our results in May of 2023. We will share them with everybody, and everybody will have access to whatever data points you're interested in. Too often, we rely on anecdotes and our own personal experiences in describing the Jewish community. This study, as Lauren mentioned, will provide real data that will serve as guideposts for every Jewish organization from Southwest Washington all the way down to Lane County. These studies are not inexpensive, but we know that they will be worth it. I am grateful to the donors who have generously underwritten the full cost of the study. And I want to express my gratitude to the Jewish Federation leadership for taking on such an important project. You'll hear more about it in the months ahead. Now that the business is out of the way, let's go to the thank yous, which is the more fun part of the evening. First, I want to say thank you to the professional team, which Lauren also mentioned. They make my job easy. We're a small but mighty group who span the range from chaplaincy to security, financial resource development to finance, data entry to Jewish education, advocacy to allocations, and somewhere in between is a bi-weekly Jewish online newspaper all about our community. They make all of this happen. And of course, the board of directors are tremendous stewards of community resources and serve in many ways as guardians of our Jewish community. I could not ask for a better group of people to lead our community each and every day, and the seriousness that they take their work is something to behold. I also have the opportunity to work closely with the cadre of incredible agency executives and rabbis in Greater Portland. Those of you who heard tonight, can you please stand up? It's more than just a shout. There we go. The tireless work that they do cannot go unnoticed, especially what's happened over the past few years. Thank you for being partners, and thank you for working with us on a day-to-day basis. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not also thank the hundreds of volunteers and professionals working on behalf of our Jewish organizations. Each and every day, they make Jewish life better for all of us. You are truly the builders of the Jewish community of the future. Last but certainly not least, and this is the uber fun part of the night, a special thank you goes to Lauren Goldstein, our chair of the board for the past 3 years. Lauren has served her community under the most challenging of circumstances and did it with her giant smile, run energy, convener mindset, bold ideas, and incredible creativity. Last week's Jewish Review headline had it spot on. A leader at the right time. Was she ever? Let's be honest, to take on this kind of leadership role does not come easy and requires lots of support systems. Lauren's parents, Stuart and Susan Schleifer, are here tonight. You should be so proud of the incredible woman you raised and all that she has accomplished, and she has so much more to do. Lauren also has 2 younger twin brothers, Scott in Florida and Jay in Seattle, and they too wanted to share in this special night.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, Mark. Hi, Portland Jewish community. I'm Scott. I just wanted to let Lauren know how proud I am of her. I think her commitment to Federation in Portland and everything else that she does in her life is spectacular and amazing. And it's been great to hear over the years about how passionate she is. As many of you know, our family's been in Portland for a really long time. Our grandma Ida, amongst others, have been fundraising for Federation Portland since literally before I was born. Anyway, really proud. Great job, Lauren. Excited that you got a community involved, and I know it gave you the work on community and togetherness and get it done. It's amazing, and we're proud of you. I'm proud of you. And so have a great evening and an event, and love you very much. And see you soon. Bye.
Hey, Lauren, you a huge virtual congratulations for your contributions and all the impact you contributed to the Portland Jewish community during your tenure leading the board for the Jewish Federation. As your bro, I am so proud of you. Mom and Dad always ingrained in you, Scott and I, the importance of giving back to our Jewish community in Portland. And you've taken it to a whole other level with your generosity, your leadership, and all the contributions and impact that you've had in the Portland Jewish community with the Jewish Federation and along with all of your other philanthropic endeavors. You set and paved an amazing path and example for Jack, Evan, and all of your Schleifer nephews and niece on, for them to find opportunities to give back and contribute in their communities and do mitzvahs and good things in their communities. Lauren, thank you, Mazel Tov, Michelle, Jake, Joe, and Benny and I are so proud of you and we love you.
And of course, you couldn't do this without your own family. I want to welcome up her husband, Mark, and her 2 sons, Jack and Evan, to say a few words.
Wow.
For those who don't know me, I'm Evan. That's here my dad and Lauren's favorite son, Jack. Mom, the last 3 years we know has meant a lot to you. You shared with us numerous times the importance of philanthropy, giving back and being part of your community. These last 3 years, you have clearly given us a front row seat to watch you lead our community. With this, you've been an amazing role model of what it means to be a philanthropist and give back to the community. I've seen that when you give back, or as you have said 3 times tonight, come together as a community, great things really can happen. And I've had the honor to see what that really means. One example that I'm really proud of you is that you came together after COVID and raised money for those who need it. Thank you.
I know you all are probably wondering, what are these 3 schmucks doing up here? We're here to talk about my mom and the work she does in and out of the house. Not only does she do great things for the Jewish community, but she also finds time to run with her friends every morning, work a full-time job, be a co-funder of the nonprofit organization Women in Revenue, and just she manages everything she does. How does she do it? No idea. What I do know is that she's done so much to impact her community. An example being that this July, I'm hopping on the 10 o'clock bus to attend BB camp for the 8th year, and I cannot even begin to express how excited I am. My Jewish experience is just one example of the marvelous works the Federation does for all the Jewish kids of Poland. And on behalf of all the Jewish kids, thanks, Mom.
Two kids, I just wanted to say, Lauren, you said earlier, it's bittersweet that you're passing the torch, but for me, it's really the beginning of a new chapter, because tonight I think you thanked Mark on 3 different occasions, and you never looked at me over there. You're always looking over there. But on the serious side, Mark, really appreciate the opportunity you giving Lauren. You talked about tonight how one Jew asking another Jew to help another Jew. In my words, I call it a win-win-win. In the last 3 years, really good win-win-win. Because when we're our family, because you're a great role model, a win for you, Lauren, because I think it's your friends will do. You're happiest when you're at highest best. This was your highest best, and hopefully everyone here today would also say it's going to win for. It's been one for the Jewish community, so really proud of you, and excited as much as these guys are to have you back. So.
Thank you, Mark, Jack, and Evan. You shared Lauren with me for these past 3 years, and more actually, because you've come on board for many more years before that. And I know this work takes time away from family, but you have been her greatest cheerleaders. I also know that Lauren couldn't do this without her supportive friends, and I see there's a row of some of them sitting right here, and she's grateful for what you helped to her and help her along in this journey. So one of the greatest joys of my job is that every 2 to 3 years, I add an additional best friend, the Jewish Federation chair. And what you do not know at the beginning, but you learn by the end, is the bond that gets developed. I could go all night talking about Lauren. And in fact, I remember the first time she and I spoke about her one day becoming chair of the Jewish Federation. She, of course, gave the standard, why me? What do I know? What can I offer? And I'll just say this, 3 years later, I think we all know, and Lauren knows, the answers to those questions. She helped to raise over $13 million to support the global Jewish community. This includes our annual campaign, COVID fund in partnership with the OJCF, wildfires, Ukraine, and so much more. She was involved in the COVID grant process, where we were able to have discussions on how to allocate those funds to our local organizations potentially in distress. She led board discussions on new strategic priorities and refocused our marketing efforts. Most of all, she proved the point, when people come together, great things happen. So let me just share a couple of things about Lauren. First, just as what happened with Ed Tonkin, I owe so much of this opportunity to Cheryl Tonkin. Because it was Cheryl who got Ed first involved in the Jewish Federation. And in many ways, it was Cheryl who helped move Lauren back to Portland in 1998. So Cheryl, if you're listening, you're 2 for 2. And if you know anybody else we should look at, let me know. So we're grateful to Cheryl on this. Second, Lauren is real. She cares, she's optimistic, she wants everyone to achieve their highest best. She's also a teacher, a learner, and a giver. I can't express to you how much I've learned from you, Lauren, about marketing and strategic planning. I appreciate her interest in knowing and learning more whenever we discuss communal opportunities and challenges. And most of all, if you know Lauren, she is a giver of her time, her energy, small little trinket gifts, big hugs, and lots of joy. She just makes you a better person by being around her. And you know, Jack and I should have conversed about our notes, because you all know that Lauren is a successful professional who works full-time, an avid runner, a new golfer, enjoys her girls' nights out, co-founded, and at one point during her term as the chair of the Federation was the interim director of a national nonprofit for women. She's the chair of the Jewish Federation, a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a great friend, and so much more. And what I've come to realize, Lauren is the real Wonder Woman. There's an old adage, if you want things done, if you want to get things done, find a busy person. Lauren is that person. In the most simple of terms, Lauren, you inspire me and I'm in awe of you. So I'd like you to come up for a second.
Yeah.
As a token of our appreciation for your leadership and commitment and all of those good things, we've commissioned a piece of art for you from Eddie Schulman. So. It's very fun working with Eddie. She says, well, what should I make? I said, whatever you want to make. And I told her a little bit about Lauren, and this is what she created. So she calls this Shibiti Kadasha. I have had a fascination with both the Shibiti and the Hamsa for years. Creating this piece allowed me to dive deeper into my thinking about each of these, why they belong together, and why these symbols honor the work you have done on behalf of our community. The traditional Shibiti is a piece of tapestry art in a synagogue where it may appear as an illustrated page in a prayer book that contains a meditation from Psalm 16, 8-9. I set the eternal before me always. The Hebrew verse is Shibiti Hashem Lanegbi Tamid. The Hamsa is a popular but ancient symbol, a shared amulet by Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and many view it as a symbol of unity. Others as a symbol invoking the hand of God. The Hamsa she crafted is symmetrical, neither a left nor right hand. I want to symbolically show balance. I see the Hamsa as an open hand held out to others. It symbolizes work, effort, and receptivity. The bejeweled eye is open wide, hopeful, and looking for the best in others while seeking solutions to the concerns of the community. The pomegranate is classically known to symbolize righteousness, knowledge, and wisdom because it is said to have 613 seeds, each representing one of the 613 mitzvot of the Torah. And finally, the dichroic beads that frame the arch adorn the Hamsa and fill the pomegranates represent sparks of light, the light that you brought to the community. The work of your hands, your clarity of vision, your wisdom, and your desire to uphold the mitzvot of our faith have been blessings to this community. When you look at this, may you discover new meanings in what you see, and may you always be reminded that the good work you do inevitably creates new sparks of light in our world. Lauren, I hope you know how special you are. You've made me a better professional and a better person through our partnership and friendship. I've been blessed. These 3 years kind of seem like a blur, but the honor of partnering with you will last a lifetime. Thank you for everything. And now I get the opportunity to chair the program over to my new additional best friend, Chair of the Board, Mindy Zeitzer, who brings such great thoughtfulness and experience to the role. Mindy, along with her husband, previously served as our campaign chair, and she just concluded her role as our allocations chair. I'm excited to be working with you and look forward to you leading us into a brighter future. And as an FYI, and I shared this also with Lauren, Lauren took over, but Mindy is the 5th woman to hold this position in our community. Of the 50 largest Jewish federations in America, only 3 have had more women than we have as the chair of the board of the federation. So I have no doubts, Mindy, that you will have many great successes like Lauren, Liz Menashe, Priscilla Costner, and Gail Romaine, as well as the 41 other people who have served in this role previously. So Mindy?
Oh gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna follow any of that. That was an incredible tribute to you, Lauren, and all of the work that you've done over the last 3 years. Incredible. For those of you who don't know, I am Mindy Zeitzer. I've been given 3 minutes to wrap things up, so here we go. I am thrilled, beyond belief, beyond words, to be the incoming chair of the board. And to work with the community in this year ahead. Lauren, wow. I mean, that's really all I can say, listening to everything that everybody said, your family, Mark, working with you on the board. Just wow, what an amazing 3 years. We've been through challenges, so many ups and downs, and you took them all just head on. I am, like Mark said, I'm in awe. You're leaving me some incredibly large shoes, fashionable shoes, but large shoes to fill. And if I'm being honest, it's a little intimidating. I don't know how I'm gonna live up to that. I'll just have to make my own path, I guess, because I don't think I can. Coming out of the pandemic, we have a wide open path with endless possibilities and endless opportunities for the future. I'm so excited to help lead those possibilities with your support and your insight at my side. Thank you for all you've done for the community. Thank you also to Jack Bernbach, Karen Blauer, Ted Nelson, and Ed Tonkin for your tremendous years of work, dedication, and service on the board and to this community. Especially thank you to Jack as the past allocations chair, Ted as the outgoing campaign chair, and Ed as the past board chair. Look at the words there. And welcome to Craig Byrne, Christy Moore, and Jeffrey Weitz. I'm truly looking forward to working with you on the board this year as new board members. I'm also really looking forward to working with the board as a whole, in addition to Mark and all of the Federation staff. We have great things coming this next year. And now, just a minute to look forward, as we have a million things that are going to happen in this next year. And I'm just going to briefly touch on a few of them. Some of them have been highlighted already, but we're going to embark on this incredible community study. This will give us an incredibly important look into who we are and what our community needs. We will be brainstorming and collaborating to come up with creative and innovative ways to implement the findings of that study to help bolster and invigorate our already amazing community. We're going to take a deep dive into the allocations process to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our community the best that we can. The Israel trip, it's finally happening. Yay! We are finally also going to welcome back an in-person gala on October 8th. I hope everybody puts it on their calendar to come. It is going to be incredible. We're gonna flash back. It's gonna be a celebration of Federation's 100th year, which we never got to actually celebrate. And I just want to thank Ed Tonkin for taking the lead on that. It's going to be awesome. And Mark has already, my Mark, has already started like, well, you gotta start thinking about what you're gonna wear. Okay. And many, many other new and continued initiatives that keep our community strong and thriving. Last and certainly not least, I am most excited and honored to serve in this role and to have the opportunity to work on behalf of our Jewish community. Our Jewish community. My family and I have been incredibly lucky to experience many growth and connection opportunities and life cycle events made possible by this community. We want to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to connect in meaningful ways for them. Thank you all for coming and for watching online at home to hear about our community and our incredible endeavors, support, and engagement that Federation provides and enriches. Your continued involvement and support is what makes our community thrive and grow from strength to strength. And now, as we adjourn our meeting, let's share a toast and some cake, I think. Yes, and some cake in the back as we all get ready to embark on an incredible year ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you all. There's cake and sparkling cider in the back, so feel free to join us as we celebrate. And thank you all for coming.
Yeah.